Welcome back to New York Talk, episode 150. Welcome to the Upper East Side. We're here in my living room. Welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. Fact of the day, 45% of Americans make New Year's resolutions. Do you have a New Year's resolution? Can we talk about that? What are you doing this year? You know, here's the thing. I make resolutions and then I break them. Dry January, I think, is a fabulous idea. Meaning, not necessarily the dry part. You just do 1 month. 1 month of saying you're going to try something. You know, you're going to give up something for 1 month. You're going to try something for 1 month. You don't feel committed to 12 months. A 12-month commitment is a long time. We all know, if you watch my social media, I should say, you know what I'm doing for my New Year's resolution, which I'm having a diet change. You know, I've been talking about it here and there in little blips on social. I'm doing keto. I don't know if it's real keto or this other thing called dirty keto, which is news to me. Which, by the way, like, why are we naming a diet dirty keto? It already makes me feel like I'm not being clean and healthy. I'm not doing clean, healthy eating. You're calling it dirty keto. Why don't you call it keto light? Just a thought. Anyway, keto, essentially, no carbs, no sugar. We know this. For the first 3, I would say now it's like 4.5 weeks in. For the first 2.5, 3 weeks, I was absolutely adamant, not a breadcrumb. If there was a stuffed artichoke with a little breadcrumb on it, I was not eating it. A bite of somebody's chicken cutlet with breadcrumbs, I'm not touching it. Anything. In fact, for Christmas Eve, I was at Chris's family's house in Long Island. Shout out to them if you're listening. Gorgeous house. They live in Cold Spring Harbor, one of his brothers. And they had, you know, the Italians. Come on, Italians, Christmas Eve. You know, we did the fish, and then they had the desserts. Wait, can you die? Like, wait. No, they did the fish. I was just there. Anyway, they did the fish, and then they had all the desserts. And, oh, my God. I mean, over the top, delicious desserts. And everybody was like, Elyse, have a bite, have a little something. I wouldn't even put a morsel in my mouth. At the very end of the night, I felt peer pressured. I took the tiniest smidgen, oh my God, lick of a cheesecake brownie, because those are 2 things that are my weakness, and it was absolutely delicious, and that was that. But I've been pretty good on the diet. I made these things which are really good. You could Google the recipe. I mean, I have it here if you really want to hear it, but I'll just Google it. If you want to try a keto cookie, there's a thing. I'm looking at it right now. Google keto recipe cowboy cookies. And you know what? I'm actually not going to read you the recipe because you could Google it. But what I will say is that you need a couple of things to make it. You need almond flour. You need gelatin, because if you add gelatin to a recipe, one of these keto cookie recipes that I think use almond flour, because almond flour I think tends to be not as soft, or it's a little tougher. I don't know. The gelatin makes it a bit more chewy. So you need almond flour, pecans, unsweetened coconuts. And then, you know, the usual stuff like baking soda, salt, baking powder, you know, again, almond flour, pecans, vanilla extract. And here's another thing that you need, which is crucial to these cookies. Lily's chips. Lily's chocolate chips. I wanted to talk to you about these. Have you heard of Lily's chocolate chips? Okay, so, you know, if you're making a thing, and by the way, these cookies I thought were amazing. Other keto recipes I've tried, you know, cookie-wise, they were not amazing. And before I tell you about Lily's chips, let me say, for the first 2.5, 3 weeks of keto, like I said, I was adamant. But when I got to, like, I would say 3.5 weeks, I was dying for something sweet. I was like, I want a Hershey square, a Toblerone triangle. I was like sweating for something. And I tried, I really tried. I took some Greek yogurt. I put like the tiniest drizzle of honey in it, some almonds, some raspberries you can have. You can't have honey, by the by. It was like I just wanted chocolate, So I started looking up what baking can I do, keto-friendly baking, I was baking for the holidays, I was doing the baking. I do the British fruitcakes every year. I did, those chocolate crinkle cookies, Mexican wedding cookies, they call them. We call them like snowball cookies. I mean, I did the cucciadati, the fig cookie. I did all the baking. I just wasn't eating it. So I got so worn down. I really, really wanted to have something sweet. What could I do? I started looking up these keto recipes. Tried a bunch. They were horrible. Found this one. This one was great. Great meaning for diet cookie. The recipe called for these things Lily's chips, right? So Lily's chocolate chips, just like a bag of chocolate chips, a Hershey's bag of chips, whatever. And they're small, though. They're small little, like, mini chocolate chips, and they're made with stevia and erythritol. Now, I made this recipe, and I bought these Lily's chips before I mentioned erythritol on my social media, where then I started to get a lot of comments with people saying, oh, my God, somebody had a heart attack from that. Don't do it. Don't eat that, blah, blah, blah. But I will say this. I believe in everything in moderation. Tangent. I was at I was with my girlfriend Jamie. She's originally from Long Island, lived on the Upper East Side, bops around, whatever. Now she's living in Tennessee. We were at the St. Regis Hotel, I don't know, a few months ago. We're at the St. Regis Hotel. We get a bottle because we never see each other. We have a great time. Somebody pulls out the cigarettes. Next thing you know, I have Marlboro Light in hand. I know. You're schwitzing. Relax. Here's the thing. In moderation. I'm not going around saying that I'm chain smoking, but come on. Anyway, in moderation, this one cigarette every 10 years isn't going to kill you. Okay, so Lily's chips, erythritol. If you have erythritol, I don't know, once every 2 months, is it going to kill you? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Talk to your doctor about that. But for me, I thought it was fine. So anyway, I still have been biting. Having a couple of these Lily chips every few days if I need to have the chocolate craving. So the Lily's chips, they are 55% dark chocolate, and then there's this stevia and erythritol. They are so they're sugar free. They have a little bit of carbs. I'm looking. They're also gluten free. They're kosher. I'm looking. Not a low calorie food. It just says that on the bag. Are they a 1-to-1 match to Ghirardelli's chips? No. But listen, if you're baking and you want something, I thought they were fine. I couldn't find them all over the place. Now, I do a lot of my grocery shopping because I'm in Manhattan. I do a lot of it online, Instacart, whatever. I couldn't get these people. I actually wound up finding them at Whole Foods, which wound up being cheaper than I saw them on Amazon. So just a thought. I like these. And like I said, right? Like I said, I wanted a little something sweet the other night, so I took a half a cup of Greek yogurt. I put it in a bowl, and then I took some unsweetened coconut flakes, put some slivered almonds. Oh no, they were like sliced almonds. They were like very thin, so not slivered like you would do a string bean almondine. Like a sliced almonds. Got them at on Amazon Fresh, Happy Belly brand, so cheap, delicious. And then I put a few of these Lily chips, stirred it all up, and that was my snack on the couch. It was amazing. It was grateful for it kicked the craving. And you know what? I bet if I wanted to put a little tiny half a teaspoon of peanut butter in there too, I could have done that. I know you're like, is she really saying a half a teaspoon of peanut butter? Yes, I am, because I love to eat. Here's the situation. When I got home so I'm 5'4", and usually I weigh anywhere from 145 to 153, 54, whatever. I like to be on the 145 range. That's where I feel good. What I would love to be 135. I haven't been 135 since I married the tooth, which was 100 years ago now, right? What was that? I don't even know, 12, 13 years ago, whatever. When I got home from France, I was like in my mid 160s. I was not comfortable. My diet was strictly red wine, cappuccinos, lattes, and croissants and cheese. I mean, I was a horror, and baguette. I was a horror. But I remember when I was on stage with Vic, one of the last few shows that I did, I with him, and it was a big, big room, 2,500, 3,000, whatever it was. And I was so uncomfortable because my pants, they just didn't fit. Like they were like digging into my stomach. And when they dig into the stomach, and I went to the bathroom and my underwear had the line and the stomach, and the button had the thing, and I indent, and I was like started to scratch, and I was like starting to tear up because I was like, I want my pants to freaking fit. That was my breaking point. And by the way, that was pre-Paris, but it was just me saying to myself, I'm not going to go on stage and perform for all these people that spent their hard-earned money, and I'm up there, doing my 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever I was doing, with my pants unbuttoned, because that's what I did. Could you imagine? I unbuttoned my pants. I, usually have my shirt tucked in. I gently, tucked my shirt and then my tank out, and I, zipped up whatever jacket I was wearing. I couldn't even believe what I was doing when I was on stage. And, of course, here I am. I'm doing my act. I'm engaging with the audience. I'm having a great time. And in the back layer of my brain, I'm thinking, are my pants going to unzip up here right now? And then I'm going to have to make a joke about it. I'm going to have to say, you know what? My pants are unzipped because I had to unbutton them because they're too freaking tight, which probably would have been a really good joke. But I digress. That was the thing for me. That was that moment that I was like, I need to do something. So that's what I'm doing. That's my New Year's resolution. I am trying to stick with it. I'm just trying to do a lifestyle change. I will say this. You read, if you do something for 30 days, you kick the addiction. And I truly think I'm addicted to food and sugar and carbs. And don't even ask me how I am living without macaroni, AK pasta, whatever you call it. I just am. But I will say that my daughter, Vivian, my youngest, it was when they came home after Christmas, because they were with the tooth for Christmas, and they were with me for New Year's. We made some really nice cakes. They love to bake. We love to do, everything together, but they love to bake. So we went to the baking shop, New York Cake, which is down on 22nd Street in Chelsea. Somebody calling me? I'm not answering this now. I totally recommend if you're a baker. New York Cake on West 22nd Street. Everything baking related. Maybe the store has even been featured in these baking shows on HGTV. I don't even know. But anyway, so we went down to baking shop. We bought fondant and, all the dazzles and razzles and bojangles, you could ever want. And we came home and we made just a simple boxed cake, and we covered it in fondant and decorated it. We had a great time. We made a couple of them. Well, it was New Year's Eve, and I thought, who cares? I'm just gonna splurge. It's been, I don't know, almost 4 weeks at that time. I'm gonna have a slice of cake. And if everybody else was having cake, well, I want cake. So, and come on, Dunkin' to Heinz. I can't resist that. Come on. So I said, I'm gonna do it. I had a piece of the cake, and about 30 minutes after, my tongue was burning. It felt like it was on fire. It was the weirdest feeling ever. And listen. I've had every box cake in the cake aisle, okay? It wasn't old. It wasn't expired. It was my body, I think, reacting to the sugar or the, I don't know, maybe it was the carbs. Maybe it was the prepackaged, ingredients, because I haven't been eating any of that stuff. It was so weird. And let me tell you, I can't stand when people go on a diet and then all they do is they preach and they're on the soapbox and it's, you're eating this and you don't know what's in that. And it's like, give me a effing break. Just shut up. But I'm not doing that. I'm just saying I do think it's probably true. If you drop something for 30 days, your body will adjust. So that was it. I took the sugar out. I brought it back for a second. I don't know. We'll see. I have lost 10 pounds. Thank God. I've also been going to the gym. So let me not beat around the bush. Okay. I've been going to the gym. But my holidays were good. Listen, let me actually say my holidays were fine. They were good in the sense of I was with Chris. I wasn't alone. I'm in Manhattan. I saw a ton of shows. I, got together with friends. I did shitty spots all around the city, which, is what us comedians, are called going and doing, a few minutes and on stage here and there, because I'm not touring or headlining right now. But it was the hardest. I will say it was the hardest year for me, being away from my kids. And it makes me really emotional to think about it. And I hope me telling you this, I'm not going to start to tear up. But I don't know. My first year alone with the kids. So the first year that I was divorced, when the tooth moved out, he had the kids for Christmas. And I was not in the right state of mind. I was, in between jobs, and it was a very bad situation. I can't even get into it, for lots of reasons, but I will one day. I will. He took the kids to Wales, and they, had as great of a time as they can, going on a plane with their dad to, grandma and grandpa's house, who they don't really see, who spoiled them, whatever. I was not in my right state of mind. And then shortly after that was 2019, Christmas 2019. Then the pandemic happened, right? And that just took over everything for everybody. I don't even know if I was coming or going that time. I mean, now, if you've been listening to this podcast, or if you've been watching me or whatever, since then, because I started this podcast, I think end of 2020 or something, I was surviving. I was doing this. I was homeschooling the kids. I was, I was, everything was closed. I mean, the whole thing was crazy. But holidays, I was sort of accepting that I was divorced. And granted, I had a boyfriend, but the guy, Chris, I mean, he's great and everything, but he's died in the Wall Bachelor. Come on. But I wasn't fully processing maybe even not being with my kids if there was a holiday that I wasn't with my kids, like Easter or something, because I was just trying to process the pandemic. I mean, like we all were. So this year was the first year that there was no global crisis going on, no homeschooling. It was like a normal holiday. I feel it was like the first normal holiday for me in years. And the fact that they weren't with me, I was really sad. I did my little videos, and I was talking on social, and I was, like I said, doing what I was doing, and I went out, but I was really sad. In my private times, I just was like, this is the worst. It doesn't feel right. When you get divorced, your kids are with you half the time, half the holidays. I can't beat myself up over it. It is what it is, but I really, really upset. So anyway, over the moon, though, that they were home for New Year's. And we had a nice New Year's. We went to Avra. Do you know Avra? Delicious. One of my favorite restaurants in Manhattan. On 60th between 5th and Madison. Nice restaurant, upscale restaurant. Everybody dresses up there. That's why I like it. We went to Avra, and we put on a nice outfit. No it's pricey. It's expensive. No schlubs in there on New Year's. I appreciate that. I like when people dress up and they put on their sequins and their jewelry and their furs or whatever. Do it up. You only live once. Even if you have it, if you don't have it, whatever. Put on what you got. It's a holiday. You go to these other places and everybody's so drab. Why? I saw this woman in Avra who was sitting next to me. She was like the grandmother, the matriarch of this family. Oh, I wish I had a picture with her. I loved her. She had a beehive up to heaven, a white blonde beehive to heaven, giant, which looked like Bussolati. Is that how you pronounce that brand? Stud. They weren't stud. They were like diamond encrusted earrings that were bigger than her ears, and dripping in diamond bracelets and bangles, and she had a cape on with the white fox fur trim. Peter would have freaked out if they saw this lady, but she was so wonderful. And after the meal, I went over to her. She was like 95, with her family, kids, grandkids. And I said, I just have to tell you, I think you are so fabulous, like so divine, and she took her hands, these old lady hands, of course, long nails, red knuckles, big knuckles, old lady, big knuckles, her cold little bony hands with the big knuckles. And she put her hands on top of mine. And she was like, thank you so much. I've been watching you with your daughters. I think you're fabulous too. And I was just like, is this not a great New York moment? I hope that lady lives on a mansion on Fifth Avenue. I had a whole vision about her. But anyway, I digress. We had a great time, minus the cake. Don't eat the cake. But I did see a lot of wonderful shows in the end of December. I got to see Gutenberg, which was fabulous. Their run is almost over. If you're in New York and you could get a ticket, you gotta go. It's Josh Gad and who's the other guy? I can't remember his name. But they were in a Book of Mormon. They met in Book of Mormon years ago. And Josh Gad was the voice of Olaf, the snowman, penguin, whatever, from Frozen. They have the most amazing chemistry. When you see a couple or actors, podcast people, and they're like made for each other. That's like these actors. It was amazing. Gutenberg was funny. Very different kind of show. It felt like it's about like two kids that came out of an improv and decided they wanted to write a play. That was it, right? And that was the premise of the show. Not a big set, not big musical numbers, though a musical. Not big props and designs, but really, really, really great. I saw Book of Mormon. I saw Christine Ebersole and Billy Stritch at Feinstein's 54 Below. I love Christine Ebersole. Been around forever. They sang. They did Christmas songs. I love to see a Christmassy cabaret every year. I saw Michael Feinstein at Carnegie Hall. Ran into some fans there. That was fun. Michael Feinstein's, though, was a one-night only piano concert, and I was disappointed with you, Michael, because I thought you were going to sing at least one holiday song. Have yourself a Merry Christmas. 12 days, anything. Get on the piano and he was, in a sequin satin jacket, whatever. Play us a number. No. No. He talked about how he had this guy with him, and I'm blanking. I don't have it written down. Let me say this. The show, the piano concert, was wonderful. He was spectacular on piano, and the other guy was spectacular on piano. But they were very serious. They were playing serious songs. And Michael was talking about how he used to be Ira Gershwin's assistant 100 years ago, back when he was 20 years old. Ira Gershwin, was George Gershwin's older brother. Ira lived until 90 years old or something. And Michael, worked for him. He was his assistant. He was cataloging the music. He was cataloging some of George's music. George Gershwin died when he was only 35, 38 years old. So when he was cataloging going through the files with Ira, again, when he was 20, he came across some old pieces of Gershwin music that are not known at all or very, very lesser known. So, typical Feinstein. He's talking about these lesser known pieces, and he wanted to spend a lot of the evening playing these more obscure piano pieces. They were great. He was great. But I wanted to hear some, more classics. Come on. Okay. Oh my God. You got to get this book. You know what? I'm going to make it my product of the week. I wasn't planning on it. I bought something for myself. A wonderful book. It's called, I have it in front of me, The Women Who Made New York City. I'm going to hold it up even though I'm not currently posting the video podcast. But if I do, you'll see this. It's by a girl, Julie Scelfo. It's a hardcover book. It's it could be a coffee table. I use it as a coffee table book, but it's a small coffee table book. It's smaller than 8 by 10ish. Maybe it's 7 by 9ish. And it's a wonderful book about all the women who have made New York. But here's why it's so great. And I'm telling you, you got to get it for anyone. Again, not an ad. Come on. You think I have ads? Anyway, I will one day. But not every. Let me see how many pages. The book has 275 pages. Everybody from, of course, musicians and entertainers and blah, blah, blah. All those people who always get their flowers. But then they have a lot of other people that never get any airtime or press. The Wall Street women, caretakers, builders, newsmakers, crooks, educators, the politicians, obviously comedians. They have the most interesting section, and I love this section. You're going to die. The grocers. One of my favorite stories in this book, and let me say, so basically they break it out by these categories of, industry. And then you go to that section, and they have maybe like 5, 8, 10 women, right? And they just tell their story, short, 2 pages. Wonderful. The grocers, they tell the story of the Balducci family. Maria Balducci, the wife of whatever, I forget his name. Was it Salvatore? I don't know. Balducci, the wife of the guy who started Balducci's. So Balducci's, if you're not in New York City, they have a few locations now, but not as many as they used to, but was a very popular fine foods store in New York City, like a Dean and DeLuca, like a Citarella, whatever. If you're not in New York, I'm saying these things, and you're like, I still don't know those places at least. But just a fine foods shop, right? Delicious. And so they told the story. So Maria Balducci, the wife, in the mid-19th century, so 1950s-ish, mid-20th century, 1950s-ish, the husband ran a fruit stand down in Greenwich Village, right? They came from Italy to America. They settled in Greenwich Village, just like my family, and they started this fruit stand selling. Their thing was to sell out-of-season produce. So every morning, the husband, and I'm really sorry, I'm forgetting the name, would go to the market, maybe a Hunts Point market, whatever it is, pick out the out-of-season fruit, find it, sell it at his little cart. Maria, wife, would go manage the hovel that they lived in. And they literally say they lived in like a shanty, like a shack, whatever, fine. Who didn't? They just came from, the motherland. Okay, moving on. That was such a rare thing to do, to sell out-of-season produce in the 1950s, that they started to get all these giant clients, one of them being Luchow's. Luchow's was one of the most fabulous, famous German restaurants down on 14th Street, and it was like the place that people went before they went to the Metropolitan Opera House. Celebs went, everybody went to Luchow's. I would love to go to Luchow's. I wasn't born yet. Anyway, moving on. So, it got so popular, Luchow's is their client. So husband and wife start talking, and they're like, we need to expand. So they packed up their cart, and they got a space. They got a 3,000 square foot space, and they called it Balducci's. And the husband comes home one night, and he's like, what are we going to do with all this extra room? We don't have enough fruit to sell, like, in all this space. So what are we going to do? And the wife, it's always the wife. Dating tip for you girls. It's always the woman with the idea. It's always the women with the idea. Thank you. Moving on. Okay. So Maria Balducci of the Balducci family said to the husband, she said, why don't I start selling some of the foods I make at home? Why don't we just start selling them in the store? So they started selling antipas, hot antipas, roasted red peppers, brajol, escarole and beans, all the peasant foods that they ate at home. And they flew off the shelf. They couldn't make them fast enough. And that was the story of how Balducci's came to be. If it wasn't for Maria and her fabulous idea of let me go batch cook all the peasant food that I'm making in our apartment and let's sell it to the masses in our new 3,000 square foot store, we would never know Balducci's as it is today. So it's a wonderful book for anyone that's lived in New York or blah, blah, blah. And I just simply love it. And they, by the way, they have the story of Zabar's, Zabar's on the Upper West Side, because, I think it's like two brothers. east and west. It's different ones. It's wonderful. I'm not even done with the book. I'll probably tell you more stories about the book. Anyway, that's that. I got the most wonderful things on Amazon for your kids or whoever, or your grandkids. They're so adorable. I thought it was a great craft. We started making a couple of them. Little 2 inches by 3 inches, like acrylic plexiglass magnets, but they're like picture frames. So my daughters, we do all this little arts and crafts and drawing and blah, blah. They make these tiny little pictures, and I've been cutting them out. Isn't that cute? And I just put them inside this magnetic plexiglass frame, thing, and I put them on the wall, on the fridge, and they stick to the fridge, and I thought it was amazing. Anyway, let's do a little TV talk. Okay, hi. The Holdovers with Paul Giamatti. Amazing. Complete. Oh my God. About a misanthropic professor at a boarding school in Boston, and over Christmas time, and has to stay with some of the kids that's parents were horrors and never pick the kids up. It's like an indie film. It was amazing. Gotta watch it. George Foreman, Big George Foreman, it was called, the George Foreman story. I was like, should I watch it, should I not? I loved it. You gotta watch it. Gilded Age, oh my God, the new season. There's nothing like New York historical fiction to me. I mean, like, I even have a book, The Gilded Age in New York, but, I watched it in like 2 days. Done. Maxine's Baby was great. I watched that too while the girls weren't home at Christmas. Tyler Perry's story. Again, I didn't know. I was like, is it gonna be too like gushy, schmaltzy for me? But I loved it. He is I always liked Tyler Perry. Such an inspiration. One show I didn't watch that I tried to watch was Jared from Subway has a documentary, that fucking pervert. I mean, like, can we not give these people airtime, honestly? I watched 5 minutes of this. What was it on? Do I even have it written down? Probably not. Cause I don't even want to talk about it, but I need to tell you this. I was watching like 5 seconds, 5 minutes of this. And basically they were saying that Jared was a spokesperson for Subway, the national chain sandwich shop. He lost like 150 pounds only eating Subway sandwiches. Of course, random guy. Subway scoops him up, makes him the spokesperson. And this fucking creep thinks that, he decides to use his newfound celebrity and to prey on young children. And he was a pedophile, fucking pervert, okay? Needs to go right into fucking the alligator pit, right into the ring of hell as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't know what the real, the whole story is, because I don't want to hear about it, but apparently there were children. Well, he was like this weight loss spokesperson. There were children that really wanted to lose weight and, and parents were or Subway, someone, whatever. They were pairing their kids up with Jared, helping Jared to be an inspiration for them. And Jared would say to the parents, he needs to see pictures of the children without clothes and shit like that. And they played you fucking voicemails on the documentary in the first 5 minutes of this creep devil. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, you know what? My stomach turned. I was upset for the rest of the night. I was just like, I hate TV. I hate everything. I was just, forget it. And one of my favorite shows that I just finished, the Frasier reboot. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. It was such a good show when it was on. I was young when it was on, but it was a very good show. And now it takes place in Boston. And, and the father passed away. What was it, John Mahoney? The actor that played the father, he passed away. And Niles isn't on it because Niles wanted to be open to other projects, or he's on another show. But, and Daphne's not on it. I miss Daphne. But it's, Roz is on it. And, and the show is about Frasier living with his son. And he's a professor at Harvard. And it's just so good. It's so good. And Kelsey Grammer, I love you. And I love your quiet luxury wardrobe that you're wearing on the show. And you're very gorgeous and the whole thing. And that's that. That's my TV talk. So I don't know. I missed you. I'm so happy it's 2024. I'm happy that we're talking. Let me leave you with the quote of the day by C.S. Lewis. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. I'm Elyse DeLucci. This is New York Talk. Thank you so much for listening. Love to love you, baby.